This is Dolany TV, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another edition of Edmonton Oilers discussion and yet another, well, as the general manager search continues, interesting day in Edmonton Oilers land. Of course, we got news that one man is out of the running, and a guy that might have been out of the running a long time ago, kind of per se, in Kelly McCrimmon. Obviously, the one thing we can all say about this situation that the Oilers find themselves in during the GM hunt is the simple fact that, for the matter, the Oilers fans are going to grill absolutely any name that comes up in mention when it comes to being named Edmonton Oilers GM. So, what did that leave Kelly McCrimmon? Obviously, I believe when I put up my video talking about is it McCrimmon or is it Hunter as the front runner, who should be the man, well, it was pretty clear that everybody was off board of Kelly McCrimmon. Everybody was on board with Mark Hunter, and everybody was jumping ship away from Kelly McCrimmon, who is now the, well, GM of the Vegas Golden Knights after a big promotion this day, today, whatever it is, May 2nd, as we still don't have our GM. Hey, Bob Nicholson, what you doing? I thought May 1st we were supposed to have a man in that role, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Bob Nicholson exactly knows how to timeline anything, but that's me aside. So, for the Oilers' part in this, what ends up happening now is you have Darren Drager, among others, mentioning, well, hey, you know what, maybe, just maybe, the Oilers are going to go with a triple-headed monster in the GM role, kind of have two powerhouse assistants who are capable of being NHL GMs per se, and then you have a guy like Mark Hunter, Sean Burke, or Keith Gretzky in the general manager role. Who are the other two names being thrown out there? Obviously Sean Burke and, well, there you go, Keith Gretzky and Mark Hunter are the other three guys that would fill out those three spots. The thing is, for the Oilers, I believe it was put best on Twitter or somewhere I saw it today that Sean Burke is a guy that brings the pro side of the game, might think it well, and I mean he's done well throughout his career in the NHL doing various jobs. And then you've got Mark Hunter, and it's an interesting theory to have Keith Gretzky in there as well because he's still the most well-known. That's the line I'm getting to right there. And you see, it's interesting as I don't really have much of a word, and things, Dean Millard, where are we? I'm just looking for this. I'm trying to find the tweet. Sorry, guys, I thought I had it, but it's just an interesting take, definitely, on how the situation plays out. Because if you have three guys in that role, essentially you'd have a brain trust. And a brain trust, I think, honestly, might be the safest thing for Oilers fans at this point. Because we all see, ooh, Peter Chiarelli was the man making the decisions, but apparently you had too many chefs in the pot with the Old Boys Club, Bob Nicholson, everybody involved. Sure, that's easy to blame. We will probably never know on that front. But you look at it from this angle. You have three highly respected men within the game. Obviously, yes, there's the little bit of Old Boys Club attachment to Keith Gretzky. Now because he's the man within the organization, yes, he's got the name, all that. But he is still very highly respected within the hockey realm on the amateur side of things. Him and Peter Chiarelli single-handedly took a dismal farm system, and now you have somebody coaching in Jay Woodcroft, who is the old regime under Todd McLellan, now coaching a team into the second round of the AHL playoffs with absolutely star-studded talent compared to what we had before. So for Keith Gretzky, he's the amateur side of things. You've got Sean Burke, who's over there in Montreal as the pro scout, a guy who can, well, analyze pro talent. I guess you look at what they got back in Max Domi. I don't know when Sean Burke was hired as pro scout in Montreal. Maybe I should get that fact straight before we start giving him credit for too much effort. But Sean Burke, Montreal Canadiens, pro scout future. Let's go see when he was hired by the post NHL career. So yeah, September 2016, and was announced as, September 16 is when he was hired. That's 2016, mind you. So you can give him credit for that. Alex Galchenyuk for Max Domi trade that looks absolutely phenomenal from Montreal Canadiens. They have a kid that's just going to do fantastic things the rest of his career in a Montreal Canadiens uniform if he ends up playing there. Of course, we all know the pressure cooker that is Montreal. We think Edmonton's a pressure cooker. Hold on, stay steady, don't think about it that way, but it's something that, okay, there you go. You've got Keith Gretzky, you've got Sean Burke, if those are the two assistants, and then you have Mark Hunter, who gets a lot of credit for what ended up happening in Toronto to turn around. Obviously, they went with Kyle Dubas because, well, it's Toronto, and I think Dubas was just the guy the media liked more. Seems the way it goes sometimes, but you take a look at Mark Hunter. He's done fantastic things in the NHL and the OHL, and now he has a chance to come back to the NHL and do fantastic things with the Oilers, especially with such a great support staff and two assistants. That seems to be the way everyone's favoring. Obviously, you could go any combination of any of these three guys. One is the GM, two is the assistants, and it just depends on what your focus as an organization wants to be. Do you want to be that organization going out there hammering trades, hammering guys out in the offseason, and building a new nucleus, a new core, a new team with some young guys, some veteran guys, some good guys, and surrounding McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nuge with talent? Or what do you want to do? And obviously that comes to asking you. I can analyze these guys all I want, because at the end of the day, I'm not the guy to be asking about who the best guy is for the job, because you know what, I've been wrong so many times before. The thing I go to is the guy that is going to be able to do this. Chris Russell, modified, no trade, no movement clause going into next year. I don't know when those contracts switch over. I think it's July 1st. If that is the case, guys, Chris Russell is movable this year. Then you've got Andre Sekera, who goes from a no movement clause to a modified no trade clause. He is movable on July 1st or after. Right there, you've got two big contracts. You could offload, easily bring in Evan Bouchard, right? That solidifies Evan Bouchard. But in those two moves alone, if you're not bringing back, say, more than $2 million in salary, those two moves alone free up $7.5 million in salary. Okay, bang. Right there, suddenly you've got yourself a lot of space to play with if you're the new Edmonton Oilers GM. The question is, though, who is the best man out of, if you are running three guys as the front runners right now, Sean Burke, Keith Gretzky, and Mark Hunter, who are the best guys to do that job? I know there's other names out there. I know Maloney's been mentioned. I know there's Fuda mentioned as well. These are the three I'm focusing on because these are the most well-repeated names at this point. Who are those best three? Is the best guy to do that single-handed job of getting those two contracts or two other big contracts or something out of the Oilers conversation, out of the Oilers cap, and bringing in young talent to the D-core, bringing in some forward depth, and allowing this team to take that step forward that we should have taken after 16-17 and get going towards a big-time NHL playoff run push next season? Well, I honestly don't know. I think Keith Gretzky is a guy that we've seen be able to pull off some masterful trades, albeit, yes, Cam Talbot was a salary dump straight up. Anthony Stoller's really nothing special. And you've got Sam Gagner in place of Ryan Spooner, who we actually spend a little bit more on, if I'm not mistaken, on the contract-wise. And realistically, it's an improvement, but that was a bad situation. Yes, I will give Keith Gretzky the props every single time when it comes to those two trades. But is that enough to say, man, he can move Chris Russell, he can move Andre Sekera without getting suckered, without ending up worse off than we were before, as so many times happened with Peter Chiarelli. Peter Chiarelli's best trade forever and always will be, depending on how Cooper Marody turns out, Cooper Marody for a third-round pick. So, guys, that's really my thoughts on breaking it down at this point. I really would like to get your guys' thoughts because it's tough. Those are the names now floating. It's May 2nd. We're past the deadline. Like, when are we going to have finality to this? We've got a whopping month and 19 days till the draft. It's going to get crazy at this point, and we got to start figuring things out, as Orangey's really killing it, guys. The Cats want to be fed. So that's where I will leave you. Leave me a comment down below and let me know your thoughts. I'm Tyson, this is Stolony TV. As always, I will catch you in the next one.